A recession is one of the few moments in life where the emotional temperature of the world changes almost overnight. One minute, everything feels stable. The next, uncertainty creeps in. News headlines turn negative, conversations shift toward fear, and people begin to question their financial future. For most, it feels like something to survive, something to avoid, something that threatens everything they've worked for. But beneath that fear, something much deeper is happening, something most people never notice. While the majority are pulling back, cutting spending, and waiting for stability to return, a small, disciplined group begins to move in silence. They don't panic. They don't freeze. They prepare. These are the individuals often referred to as smart money. And what separates them from everyone else is not luck, not intelligence, and not access to secret information. It's perspective. Where others see collapse, they see recalibration. Where others see loss, they see leverage. And where others hesitate, they position themselves for the next wave of growth. Because a recession, when understood correctly, is not just a period of decline. It is a window, a rare, powerful window where the rules temporarily change. Prices shift, opportunities appear, and the gap between those who act and those who hesitate begins to widen. Most people will spend this time trying to protect what they have. But smart money? They're focused on what they can build next. And once you understand why they think this way, you begin to realize something powerful. Recessions don't destroy wealth nearly as much as they redistribute it. Why recessions create opportunity, not just fear. At its core, a recession is simply a slowdown in economic activity. Businesses earn less, consumers spend less, and markets begin to decline. But that decline is not chaos. It's correction. During economic expansions, prices tend to rise beyond their true value. Easy money flows, risks are overlooked, and people begin to believe that growth is permanent. But it never is. A recession forces reality back into the system. It removes excess, exposes weaknesses, and resets valuations to more reasonable levels. This is where opportunity is born. Because when prices fall, value increases, but only for those who are willing to see it. Most people interpret falling prices as danger. They assume something is wrong, something is broken, something to stay away from. But in many cases, the underlying asset hasn't changed at all. A strong company is still strong. A valuable property is still valuable. A solid business still has demand. The only difference is the price. And that difference is exactly where smart money steps in. They understand that wealth is not built by buying when things are expensive and popular. It's built by acquiring value when it is temporarily overlooked. They don't chase highs. They prepare for lows. And during a recession, the market offers something it rarely does during good times: discounts on quality. This is why those who are prepared don't fear downturns. They anticipate them, because they know that every major economic reset creates a new layer of opportunity for those who are ready to act. The psychology gap that creates wealth. The biggest divide between those who struggle in a recession and those who grow from it is not financial, it's psychological. When uncertainty rises, emotions take over. Fear becomes louder than logic. People begin to focus on what they might lose rather than what they could gain. And that shift in focus leads to reactive decisions. Selling assets too early, avoiding opportunities, waiting for certainty that never truly arrives. Smart money operates differently. They don't ignore fear, but they don't follow it either. They rely on preparation, discipline, and a long-term perspective. They understand that markets move in cycles, expansion followed by contraction, growth followed by reset. And instead of reacting to these cycles, they position themselves within them. When the market is booming, they are cautious. When the market is falling, they are attentive. Because they know that emotional extremes often create financial inefficiencies. This is why the same event, a market downturn, can produce completely opposite outcomes for different people. One person sees loss and retreats. Another sees value and advances. Over time, those decisions compound, not just financially, but psychologically. One group becomes more fearful with each downturn, while the other becomes more confident, more strategic, and more prepared for the next opportunity. And that's the real advantage of smart money. It's not just what they buy, it's how they think. They don't wait for comfort. They act with clarity, even when the environment feels uncertain. Because they understand that waiting for perfect conditions often means missing the most powerful opportunities. How to position yourself to profit. If you want to benefit from a recession instead of being hurt by it, the shift begins with how you position yourself before and during the downturn. It starts with building stability, not just financially, but mentally. This means creating space, reducing unnecessary expenses, avoiding reckless debt, and ensuring that your income remains as strong and reliable as possible. Because the ability to take advantage of opportunities depends on your ability to stay steady when others are struggling. Liquidity becomes one of your greatest strengths during this time. Having access to cash is not about fear, it's about flexibility. It allows you to move when others can't. It allows you to see opportunities not as risks, but as options. And most importantly, it allows you to act without pressure. Because one of the biggest reasons people fail to take advantage of recessions is not lack of knowledge, it's lack of capacity. They simply don't have the room to move. From there, the focus shifts to identifying real value. Not hype, not trends, not emotional investments, but assets that have proven strength. Companies with solid fundamentals. Properties in locations with consistent demand. Opportunities that are backed by reality, not speculation. Because during a recession, the goal is not to chase quick wins. It is to build long-term positions at favorable prices. Patience also becomes critical. You don't need to time the exact bottom of the market. In fact, very few people ever do. What matters is consistency. Entering gradually, observing trends, and making decisions based on strategy rather than urgency, because rushing often leads to mistakes, while patience allows clarity to develop over time. And perhaps most importantly, you must protect your mindset. Because the environment during a recession will constantly test your confidence. Negative news, uncertain forecasts, and widespread fear can easily influence your decisions if you're not grounded. But if you can maintain clarity, if you can separate emotion from strategy, you begin to operate differently. You stop reacting. You start observing. And from that position, better decisions naturally follow. The shift that changes everything. Every recession tells the same story in different ways. It creates pressure, uncertainty, and change. But it also creates contrast. It reveals the difference between reaction and preparation, between fear and strategy, between hesitation and action. And within that contrast lies the opportunity that smart money understands so well. Because the truth is, wealth is not built during moments of comfort. It is built during moments of uncertainty, when decisions matter more, when emotions are louder, and when most people choose to step back. Those who move forward during these times are not reckless. They are prepared. They have spent time understanding the system, studying patterns and building the discipline required to act when it matters most. The next recession will come. That is not something to debate. It is part of the natural cycle of every economy. The real question is not whether it will happen, but how you will respond when it does. Will you follow the crowd, waiting for things to feel safe again? Or will you recognize the moment for what it is? A rare window where the rules shift and opportunities emerge. Because the moment you stop seeing recessions as something to fear and start seeing them as something to understand, everything begins to change. Your decisions become sharper, your perspective becomes clearer, and your ability to build real, lasting wealth becomes stronger. And once you reach that point, you are no longer just surviving economic cycles. You are using them